Hi, everyone. And as Sam said, thanks for joining us today. This is our self-service webinar. Again, my name is Erica, and I'm a customer success specialist here at Vendio. And I'm very excited to be joined by my colleague, Samantha Westfall, who you guys just met. She is one of our pre-sales engineers. Together, today, we're going to be covering our self-service portal and its recently updated capabilities. So if this is your first time joining us for a webinar, please keep in mind that everyone who joins the call is automatically placed on mute. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the chat box in the corner of your screen to send them through to us, and we'll make sure to cover them at the end. If you have any questions that come to mind after that webinar ends, please feel free to send them to us, and we can help route them to the correct person on our team. Also, keep in mind that the session today will be recorded and sent out via email within a few days. So no worries if you're unable to save the entirety of the webinar, as you will be able to watch it later on demand. So before we dive into the product, I think a really good place to start would be to go over what exactly it is that we need at Vendio when we say self-service. So at this point, I'm going to kick it back over to you, Sam. Could you explain exactly what it is that we mean when we say self-service at Vendio?
Sure, and thanks for the intro, Erica. So hi, I'm Samantha. So what we are referring to when we say self-service is when you have your customers log on to a portal and self-book an advertising campaign. So really empowering them to self-book their campaigns, perhaps manage it or approve it, so that you can really drive efficiency across your organization. So I know for me personally, that self-service has been a really big topic lately. We've seen a lot of interest in it especially in our customer base. So it's a really exciting topic right now. So I'm sure you know you're all aware of kind of the challenges and different pain points that could be addressed when it comes to a self-service portal. So here are kind of some sample ones examples that you can improve upon. So there are a lot of tedious and repetitive processes that which your sales reps carry out over and over again for both high and low revenue campaigns. So kind of going back and forth between the customer and sales rep, managing their campaigns has a lot of overhead. So that's a big time saver if you can do some of that work through a portal. And then also kind of a change in clients' expectations. So advertisers want to be able to access their financial data, their invoices, their reporting. So you can expose that through a self-service portal. And then lastly, and maybe the most importantly, there are costly ad tech fees involved when it comes to advertising. So this can reduce some of those as well. So the unique piece of Advendio is that it's a single source of truth. It's one system for both your direct sales and self-service sales. So it's not like you have one system, Advendio for your orders and inventory management, and then another one for self-service, and they're not communicating between each other. It's one system, so you kind of have a complete holistic view of your entire sales process. And so since it's the same system, you don't really have to learn any new processes. So you do the exact same thing that you're already doing for user profiles, permissions, workflows, etc., since it's the same system and built on Salesforce. And then you can really empower your clients to self-serve, place orders, download invoices, reports, etc. And then another cool thing is you can sell whatever you would want in self-service portals. So you could do digital products, print, services, etc. So whatever you're selling today in Advendio could be sold on a self-service portal. And so this really kind of allows you to empower your clients, but then also allows your business to scale quickly and increase revenue.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. And as we mentioned before, Advendio's self-service portal is a fairly new product of ours. The first version came out last year with a lot of really great and useful features, but there's also more key functionalities that we plan to release later this year.
Awesome. Yeah, I know for me, I'm personally very excited for the creative upload feature. So that's coming soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But today we'll show you what exists today and how you can further expand upon that. So I will hop into our demo self-service portal. So here we are, and a quick disclaimer. So everything that you're going to see today can and will be configured to however you'd want it to be. So you would have your logo, your branding, your colors. You get to decide what you want to show in a self-service portal for your clients. Edvendio provides the building blocks and the functionality, and which you can then further expand upon. So we're going to be operating under a couple of assumptions. So let's assume that I've already created an account and I'm a frequent customer. So I've done this before. So I've logged into the portal. I could, see my dashboard here, so I could go in and book a campaign. I could see all of my past campaigns or current campaigns, download any invoices that I need or reports. Maybe I'd want to contact support or ask a question. Again, it's totally up to you and how you'd want to envision this. Let's go ahead and book a campaign. So the goal of this flow is to keep it as simple as possible so that anyone could purchase a campaign. So it's kind of a question and answer interview style flow. And again, I'll say it every time, but you determine what information you want to capture here. So I'm going to add my campaign name. So let's say summer campaign. I'll select my goal. So maybe I want to increase brand awareness for my business. And then select my dates. So I want to advertise during the month of July, and then my budget. In the next step, I would further define my audience. So I could select targeting information like geography, age, interest, etc.
So Sam, I'm assuming here the publisher would determine what targeting information to include, correct?
Yes, exactly. So if this makes sense for them to include, they can include it, or if they wanted just to focus on maybe audience segments or interests, you could do that as well. I selected, let's pretend that I'm gonna pretend I have a smoothie shop in LA or something. So I wanna advertise in LA to 18 to 34-year-olds. I could maybe also select health if I wanted to reach, that demographic, and then I'll press next. So the really cool thing is that based on the criteria I've added, only available inventory will be added. So here you can see, I don't know if you saw that, it was pretty fast. It was like 0%, 50, 100. It was actually doing a real-time availability check with the inventory management system within Edvendio, and then also, for like your Google Ad Manager product. So it's only showing available inventory.
So this can be used for, like you mentioned, all products, including sponsorships and display products from Google Ad Manager?
Yes. Yeah, so that's also a new feature of ours. So that availability check is communicating with Google Ad Manager. So only products that fit that targeting criteria and my budget and my dates are going to be showing up here. So here I can see I have a digital display leaderboard banner that matches my 3 audiences. I'm going to add that there, and I can see it's limited. Maybe I want to add a homepage banner as well, a creative production package, and a print package. Let's say I just want to purchase everything. So you could also filter down further, if you wanted additional filters here. Let me just adjust my impressions. And then you also can, provide a little, preview of the ad you're going to purchase. So if you have something from your media kit or your ad here, you could include that, a nice little extra touch. And then I would go to a checkout page. So it's, it's basically like online shopping, pretty straightforward. So I'd have my checkout page. I can just confirm that these are the products that I want to purchase. And then we'd go on to billing or paying.
Sam, for payment, are there multiple payment options available? And if there are, could you set specific payment options to be offered to only specific groups of customers?
Yes, exactly. So you could have an invoicing feature like what you're seeing on this screen. That's also a new feature of ours. Or you could have them pay with a credit card. So totally depends. I kind of mentioned, at the start that let's assume that I already had an account and I'm a frequent customer. So maybe you'd want your frequent customers, your top customers to pay by invoice, and then you'd want new customers to pay via credit card. So again, totally up to them to decide what they'd want to do. But here you can see my billing address and my email address was already filled in automatically. And that's because on the back end of Advendio, on the account and contact information, that's all stored there. So it's populated automatically based on that information captured there. So I'm going to, be invoiced. I'll need to, it'll ask me if I want to generate a billing run, and then I will get an invoice sent to my email. And then you can also download it on the campaign itself. So in the next step, I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So I'm done. I've successfully booked a campaign. Again, you can build upon this further. So maybe if you want an approval process or, in the next couple months, we'll have that creative upload feature. But that's what's available today. But of course, you can expand upon it further. So here, I just created that campaign. It took me like a couple minutes. If I wasn't talking through it, it'd probably take me 30 seconds. But let's go ahead and check out that campaign I just created so you can see what that looks like. So it's going to look really similar to the media campaign view that you're already used to seeing on the back end of Advendio. Of course, this page view can be simplified. We just have all the fields showing here. So I can see my budget, my start and end dates, the items that I purchased, that invoice that I just generated right here. And then, campaign reporting. So here I can see a performance report. Let's assume that, I booked this campaign and then we push it to the ad server and we're getting the delivery data back. So let's assume that, I already did that. And so you can see the clicks and impressions here.
Sam, would you be able to show other types of reports here as well if you wanted to?
Yeah, exactly. So here at the top, you can see a reporting tab. So you can show whatever reports that you have within Salesforce today or Advendio today. So as long as it exists, within Salesforce, you have that data, you can show that to your clients. So you could create templates. So if you wanted like a campaign report, or maybe you'd want them to see their total booked campaigns for this year or month, invoices, top products that they've purchased. So whatever you want to expose, that as long as it exists within your, current Advendio capabilities, it can be exposed to the self-service portal.
Perfect.
But that's essentially it. So kind of as I mentioned before, we really want to keep this as easy as possible, just so that you can stay competitive with all the different providers that there are today. So we want to keep it simple so anyone could do it. Of course, you could simplify this even further, or make it even more, potentially more complicated if you wanted maybe an agency partner or someone to use it. But it's very configurable. So I'm going to go back to the slides. We had a couple of questions to think about. So obviously, we're really happy that you're here at this webinar. That means you are interested in, maybe eventually a self-service portal. So here are kind of some factors that you would need to consider internally before moving ahead with that process. So it's really important to think about, who do you want to access your portal? Do you want it to be open to the public? Anyone could book it? Do you want only agency partners or your largest customers, small customers? What does that kind of look like for you? What kind of products would you want to sell? Would you want to sell print, digital, services, etc.? Would you need to have different views or level of access based on the type of client? So maybe, maybe your agencies, maybe you'd want to send them an invoice, and then small and medium-sized businesses would pay via credit card. Would you need to have approval processes for different clients? What does that kind of look like? And then lastly, Do you want your clients to access reporting? And then if so, what type of reports do you want them to see? So these are just 4 questions. We have a list of more, so if you're interested in those, reach out to me and Erica and we can send those to you. We also will send this recording to you afterwards, so you'll have this there. But these are kind of 4 conversation starters to bring to your organization to start this process. So now, and what we kind of wanted to spend the rest of the time on is our question and answer section. So if you have any questions, please submit them in the question part, the little question mark section of the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll answer them live. So I'll wait, like a minute or 2, and then we'll start answering those. Looks like we got a couple, so.
Yeah, I think we can get started in the first question.
Yeah, wait one second, wait. I just need to read it really quickly. Okay.
Yeah. The first one was, so how could a client get access to this portal?
So as I mentioned before, the portal is based on the Salesforce digital experiences. So that means you can take advantage of the current user and permission management within Salesforce. So it's pretty easy. So you could either go to their contact and then assign them an account for your portal. That could be one way to do it. Or you could have a create an account page either at the start or the end of your flow. So yeah, good question.
Awesome. Here's another one. Are there any additional or new processes that an admin would need to learn in order to administer the portal?
No, there's nothing really new to learn as long as they're familiar with Salesforce. It's a standard Salesforce. It's built on the digital experience, which used to be called communities. So as long as you're kind of familiar with that, there's nothing new to learn. It's pretty easy. I mean, I'm not a Salesforce admin, but I'm able to configure it.
Perfect. One more, how configurable is the self-service solution?
So very configurable. So the technical concept behind the portal is Salesforce flows. So there's many different configuration possibilities. You could add more screens into the flow or add extra fields. You would define the campaign goals, targeting selection, invoicing versus credit card. So it's very configurable.
Awesome. Another one, how can I ensure that newly created campaigns are pre-approved before customers are able to book them?
Pre-approved. Okay, so I'm assuming that means that they'd want them booked and then approved on their end. But basically, you'd use the standard approval process within Salesforce. So you would set up when you'd need to manage those approvals. So maybe you'd want them, before they pay or afterwards. So based on these approvals, you could also define an automated submit to ad server process. So once it's approved, it could be automatically submitted to Google or Xandr. So that's one idea. But basically you'd use the standard approval process within Salesforce. So if you're familiar with that, it would look very similar.
Gotcha, that makes sense. Another one, will the billing run step ever eventually go away? This customer said it kind of seems like it's an odd step for a media customer.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that means the confirmation yes or no thing. So I agree. So very good point and understandable. So unfortunately, we have to include this step in order to cover Salesforce security requirements. Technically, it's not needed on our end. It's a Salesforce security thing, but maybe depending on the size of the impact that you think this would have on the user flow, we could take some time to evaluate other possible solutions for this. I know for the credit card piece, there's nothing like you don't have a yes or no step. So it'd just be for the clients that are being invoiced, that they need to confirm that they'd want to be invoiced. But yeah, that's a good point and good question. So we'll definitely bring that to our product team.
Yeah, definitely. Another one, is it possible to add a unique client discount or percentage of one that always activates with a certain type of product category? An example here is, example, all print is 25% off for a particular client, all digital is 40% off, etc.
Okay. So unique client discount for certain categories. So yeah, you could manage that through our commitments feature. So having that, on the Advendio backend, and then that would work via the self-service portal as well. So we'd set something up like this client gets these discounts for these products, and then when they check out, they'd see those discounts there. But yeah, good question.
Yeah, and I think it looks like our last question is, how does the reporting tab work? Is it a custom object that we have created?
So it's not a custom object, it's just the standard Salesforce report. I don't know if it would be helpful for me to show it. Or we can follow up with an email, but it looks really similar to what you're used to already. Oh, oops, I'll just show it quickly. So this is a reporting tab. And then also keep in mind, this is my demo org, so I have an admin license. So you can see these are all the reports that I'd be able to see, but in the real demo org, in a real self-service portal, it'd be very simplified. So here I could see my booked media campaigns, my product reports, etc. But yeah, if you want to see more reports or have more questions, we're happy to follow up with you individually. Yeah, really good questions so far. Let's wait like another minute or two to see if any more come in. Are there any questions around? Let's see, I'm trying to think of common questions that we've gotten.
Yeah, and if you remember any or think of any questions later on, you can definitely send those to us as well, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll wait one more minute. I wish I had like some music or something in the background, some elevator music. But yeah, I think that's everything. Oh, we got one more question. Perfect. A lot of good questions for a Wednesday morning, or I guess Wednesday afternoon too, depending on where you are in the world. Okay, we got a few more questions. I think for the next webinar, I really should get like some background music, Erica.
I'll put it on our to-do list.
Yeah.
I'm partial to the Jeopardy theme.
Yeah, true. I love a good Jeopardy. Okay, so here's a question. So is it possible to get the example flows you have created here? So yep, we can definitely share that with you. So we'll do that as soon as the creative and ad material features up and include that in our flow extension. So definitely we can do that. Good question.
Looks like we're getting one more coming in.
Okay. Really good questions. Okay.
So yeah, this one is, how does the creative trafficking work? Does the client get an automated email that reminds them of the campaign that is about to start?
That's a really good question. So yep, the client could definitely get an email that reminds them that it's going to start. So it would, the way that, like the technical way that you'd set that up would be through a Salesforce workflow and email update. So very customizable. So you would, determine what you want to have in the email, when do you want to be sent out, etc.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's a good question. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we don't have any more questions. So, and it almost, yeah, we're about up with our time. So that brings us to the end of the webinar. Thanks everyone for joining Sam and me today. We definitely appreciate all the questions you guys sent through. They were really great. And as we mentioned, please feel free to reach out to either one of us if you have any questions that come to mind later on. I know that happens to me all the time where I think of something later on. So definitely know that we are happy to answer questions as they come up. Also, as a reminder, we're going to send out this recording in a few days, so you can review anything that you might have missed, and you can also share it with some of your colleagues if they weren't able to join us live today. Also, as a note, we have included a poll in that email on some future webinar topics that we have in mind. So please check that out and send us a quick response if you want to have your input on what we could cover in the near future. Also keep in mind, as you can see, that we have a whole library of past webinars that are available on demand. So you can check out any topic that interests you and learn some more about best practices and just the product in general. So yeah, thanks so much for spending your morning, your afternoon, or your evening with us, depending on where you are in the world. And we definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. So take care.
Awesome. Thanks everyone. Thanks for, spending your morning or day with us. We really appreciate it. And here are our emails if you have any questions. So happy to be in touch and have a great rest of your Wednesday and your week. So thanks so much.